The rate of Americans giving birth slightly dropped last year as the nation continues to see fewer babies born than it did before the pandemic. According to the CDC, there were over 3.6 million children born in 2022. That's 3,000 fewer than the year before and 15% below the peak hit in 2007, which saw over 4.3 million births. But the data also highlights an ongoing shift in the age of those giving birth. Birth rates among moms in their teens and early 20s dropped to another record low in 2022. The rates among those in their mid-30s and 40s having babies increased. For more on this, I am joined by Bradley Schurman. He is the author of The Super Age, Decoding Our Demographic Destiny. So why are we seeing this decrease in U.S. births?
Don, this decrease has been happening for over 250 years, but it's only in the past 25 years that we've really paid attention to it. And it's for a multitude of reasons. Industrialization is a big one of them. Moving to urban areas is another. Obviously, the education of women is a big part of it. But in today's modern context, economics play a large role. It's hard for women, in fact, hard for families in general to justify having babies right now because the cost is too high. So we have to modify our systems in order to up that birth rate if we want to.
But on the other hand, fewer teen births is not necessarily bad news, in fact.
No, it's actually a success story.
Yeah.
This is decades long of education and prevention, birth control, and making sure that teens in particular know that they have an option to wait until later life to have children. Obviously, these upper end births, women who are 35, 40 plus, are part of the scientific revolution. The fact that these pregnancies just a few decades ago, in fact, in some doctors' offices today, are referred to as geriatric pregnancies, are much more common than they were just a few years ago.
And so just to collect the reasons, so is that why, or that's one of the reasons more women are having babies at older ages?
Sure, education is a big part of it, but also because people are choosing career first before getting married, before having children. They want to make sure in large part that they have an economic foundation in place so that the child can have, in fact, a good life. They're also choosing to have fewer children. It was just a decade or two ago that these birth rates were higher, but today now in the United States, we're at a very low birth rate, about 1.8 babies per woman in this country. And that's below the replacement rate of 2.1, which keeps population stable. Globally, John, in every country around the world, birth rates are in decline, even the highest birth countries in the world.
And so that leads me to the question, Bradley, about the future of economies in those countries. But let's talk about the United States in particular.
Sure.
If that trend continues, what would the economic effects be?
Calamitous if you base everything on economics alone. Here's the upside in the United States. We have positive immigration right now. That means our country continues to grow, albeit at a slow pace. However, if you're on the other side of the planet, if you're in China, you're already starting to see population decline. In fact, China lost a population last year, reportedly, the size of San Francisco. That's a big chunk of people, 850,000 people to take out of the economy. Russia lost about 1.2 million. Japan lost about 750,000. It can't impact the economy directly if we follow the old rules. And the old rules are predicated on constant growth of the population. Well, guess what? That's not going to happen in the future.
And I got to ask you about a recent policy change, of course, the overturning of Roe versus Wade. How do you think that affects the short-term or long-term effect of the number of births in the years to come?
Yeah, it's hard to say. People tend to figure out ways to have abortions if they need to have abortions. That's been one constant throughout history. Will it adjust the birth rates up? Perhaps for a short period of time while people figure out the new landscape. But at the end of the day, people will choose alternate means of prevention, whether that's using condoms or birth control, or even for men, taking the steps that they need to take to make sure that unwanted babies are not coming into this world.
Bradley Schurman, author of The Super Age, Decoding Our Demographic Destiny. Thank you.
Thank you, John.